Hello and welcome to this video for COMP3218 Game Design and Development at the University of Southampton. My name is Dave Millard, I'm one of the lecturers on the course and I'm here with...
Ioan Daniel Malinov, postdoc helping with the coursework.
Great, thanks Jan. So we're going to have a look at a few student games today. Johan, do you want to say a little bit about what we asked the students to do?
Yeah, sure. So we basically asked the students to create a game prototype with a story engine, and it should have a branching interactive narrative inspired by one of the three fables we've given them.
Great. All right. Well, that said, let's get on and have a look at our first game. So this game is called King of the Frogs. Now, this was handed in, but only as a project file. So I don't have a build, so we're going to run it in Unity. So hopefully that will work okay. And it's also worth noting it's the work of a single person, whereas we would normally have a group. So we should bear that in mind when we're going through and assessing it. Okay, here we go. So I don't have a title screen or anything. I'm straight in. But I've got a kind of a pond scene with a frog king, which is very, very Aesop fables.
Yeah.
And then I've got a kind of, I guess, an orange frog farmer. And I look like I've got some stats down the bottom. 50, 100, 100. That looks like number of frogs. Number of big frogs. I don't know. Flies. I've got P up in the top corner, which I don't know what that does. Game paused. I'm not entirely sure why a game like I suspect this needs to be paused, but nevertheless. So you've got Hoppediah Plantar. I like Hoppediah. That's a great name. The rainy season is ending soon. I think we should start farming lemongrass. It may taste like dirt, but at least the people will be fed. Well, that sounds sensible, doesn't it? I'm not quite sure what my choice is here. He's basically saying, shall we farm some food so the people don't die, sire? What's my other option? Just let them starve to death. Okay, I'm going to say, yes. Good idea, my king. Okay, so it looks like our number of big frogs has gone down. Do you think that might be happiness? Do you think it might be froggy happiness?
I think so, yes.
It's a smiley frog. But our number of flies have gone up. I presume that's food. So
yeah, makes sense.
Hit space. It's Lily. Hello, Your Majesty. I'm just a simple frog in a fine hat. May I open a small tea stall by the pond for weary travellers? Yes or no? What do you think the pros and cons of this are?
Well, I don't see any cons.
Yeah.
Or at least I can't think of.
Do you think I should trust Lily? Do we know anything about Lily? Or?
Oh, okay, yeah. That's. I mean, I like the hat, so.
Yeah, it's a very trustable hat. I think the point I was trying to make is that we have no basis to make this decision at all. It's just a random decision. You open a tea shop, as you said. I can't think of any reason not to. So, has our number of frogs gone up?
Happiness.
Our happiness has gone up. Do you think we just added Lily and that's the? Okay, it's a space. Let's see what happens next. Leopold Loggle. Kids are playing on junk structures. I can rebuild them properly. I guess I'm just going to say yes again. Safe, solid, boring. Okay. Hoppediah Plantar. I've cooked a hearty cabbage stew for the town. Smells strong. Want it served? Yes. I've said yes to everything because there's no reason not to. End of day 1. Population 53. Happiness 100. Food. Okay. So it looks like we're playing over multiple days. I don't know how many days. And I don't know what do you think the consequences are of those numbers? What do you think they actually mean?
I mean, I assume if population goes to 0,
We lose, I
probably
guess.
lose.
Yeah.
And maybe food as well.
Yeah.
For happiness, maybe if it goes to 0, you get overthrown. I can't
Yeah.
tell.
So this is basically like a rain style event card comes up. In this case, it's not a card; it's a character. Gives us a proposition. We say yes or no, and it changes the stats behind the scenes. But they don't really. I'm trying to remember what Reigns does. I think Reigns gives you an indication of what the impact on your stats might be, but it doesn't tell you. It doesn't tell you the number. It just tells you it's positive or negative. Here, there's nothing like that, so that's kind of missing. More worryingly, I think what most games like this try to do is they try to make those questions things which are genuinely questions. It's like, you know, the people are rioting in the street because of lack of food. Do you want to send the militia to put them down, right? Which will have a negative effect on their happiness, but will be neutral and everything else. Or do you want to buy some additional food from the traders to give to the people, right? Has a positive effect on their
Um,
happiness, but negative effect on your treasury, right? But here,
yeah.
I don't know what the positive and negatives are. Let's hit space. Also, there's nothing here that says I'm in day 2 as well. My hat's seen better days. May I use a bit of your cloth to repair it? No. Can't use my cloth. I suppose a worn hat has its own charm. Very good. My hat has seen better days. Oh, so we've got the same event. So obviously there's some of the logic's not working. So what happens if I repair a hat then? It fits perfectly once more. That just made her happier, didn't it? It didn't have any other negative effects.
I think so.
Your bridges are falling apart. I can fix them properly, but it won't be cheap. So that implies it's going to cost me, but I don't know what it costs me because I don't have any coins or anything. So I don't know which of those resources. And I also don't know what it will gain me. Let's just say yes. What happens? Oh, they'll hold. Don't thank me. So our people have gone up. Our happiness has gone down. And our food... okay. Spring. Sire, I think I saw a shadow in the reeds. Looks dangerous. What if it's going back? We should warn everyone. See, why would we not warn everyone? Yes, warn everyone.
Yes.
Everyone run. Hello, Your Majesty. I'm just
Happiness
a simple
went down.
frog in a fine hat. So they want to open another tea stall. Yeah, okay. Why have we lost people? We're on 47 people. Why did we lose 6 people?
It's when you set everybody to run.
Oh, and then they run away. Let's not warn everyone. Okay. Do you think it'll remember that? It'll come back again? Yeah, you can have a sandwich. Too many frogs impose a curfew. No. Freedom comes with a risk. What risk? So I'm going to say yes. Tracks by the reeds, not frog. Yeah, investigate those. End of day 3.
Yeah.
How many days do you think I've got? Does it say anything in their game notes? Is there anything we should know about these decisions I'm making?
I'm looking through that. It says over the course of several days. So ultimately, the game is designed such that your rule will inevitably come to an end as your people starve. Depending on the choices presented and made, this will either be quick or will take some time.
I said no, I wouldn't know, take some off. End of day 4. So do you think this just goes round infinitely then until one of those numbers...
Does sound like that, the way that they've said it.
So I'm going to distribute the fine pumpkin harvest. Yeah, do that. Investigate, yeah, investigate. I'm not seeing any consequences. The other things that games like this do is they have chains of events. So if I make, so for example, if I chose not to investigate, then that might enable another random event later on when we were attacked by surprise or something.
Yeah.
But I'm not seeing that here. Oh, you achieved the Log King ending. What do you think that? What do you
Okay.
think that means? Right, I'm just going to say
The
no
Log
to
King.
everything. We're gonna play again. No.
So
Should we start going through the mark scheme?
yes,
So present,
graphics, audio, and
yeah.
information design is the start.
So graphics, obviously very simple, but fine. I could have done with a little bit more design around the fonts and the look and feel of it. Normally, with the work of a single person, I'd be a little bit more lenient, but here, there's so little elements to the game that I think, they could have done a bit more with it. But it's fine. It looks okay. There isn't any sound.
Mr. Audio?
No,
Yeah.
nothing. No sound, no music. Would have been really easy to put a music track in. So
True.
that's
Yeah.
a shame that there's not an audio track. That would have been trivial to add. Information design. I think it's a little bit problematic in that I've got the resources down the bottom left, but I don't know what they are. It's not explained to me what they are.
You only know after the first day where it actually says.
That's a good point. Yes, population,
yeah,
happiness, food. Yes, you're right. So it doesn't tell me up front. But once I know, and it's clear. I think the biggest problem is there's no information design around the info cards. I think something either implicit in the text, it could be clearer. So this one, kids are playing on junk structures. I'm guessing if I say no, the happiness will go down, but will anything go up? No, and in fact, we lost one of the kids, ran off or something.
Yeah.
So I think that's a little bit problematic. Otherwise, it's obviously very simple. So
Yeah.
I would say, a satisfactory would be workable, effective at some inconsistencies. Pass would be flawed, simplistic, or many inconsistencies. It is quite simplistic.
Yeah.
I think maybe because it's the work of a single person, we would say it's at that pass level for presentation.
Yeah.
But maybe, poor would be problematic, simplistic, and poorly chosen elements.
Are they poorly chosen?
They're not poorly chosen. I just think the one below that, which is absent, is basic, right? I think there are a few things here. We've got different graphics for the characters, right? We've got a decent number of events. But it is very, very simple.
Yeah.
Maybe we can say halfway between a poor and a pass. It's descriptively it's at the pass level. It's simplistic, a little bit of inconsistency, but generally is okay. But I think it's so simple that it kind of leans towards the basic. So maybe halfway between the two to reflect that, even considering it's the work of a single person. Meaningful play, mechanics, controls, and bugs. The mechanics, all I can do is say yes and no. So there's almost no mechanics. The controls are, I've got 3 buttons, yes, no, Y, N, and space. So they're very simple. I don't think we've seen any bugs. I think it's working okay.
Unless you count the fact that it repeated a few things as a bug, but that might be
That's a good
just
point. Yeah, it's sort of a
on purpose.
it's not non. It's a non-game breaking bug. Yeah. Um. So I mean, a pass would be challenging. A simple game with few mechanics, awkward controls may have serious bugs. A poor would be limited, insufficient mechanics, difficult controls may have serious bugs, and absent would be unplayable, unusable controls. It's definitely not unplayable.
Yeah.
It's probably somewhere between the limited and the challenging, right?
Yeah.
Insufficient mechanics. I would say again maybe between the two. I would say it does have the insufficient mechanics that would be associated with the poor, but the controls, I mean, they're not, there's no critical bugs. The controls are just really simple. So maybe halfway between the two. So that gets us on to the story engine. I'm going to carry on with the nose here to see if I can get a different ending. I'm certainly dropping down my happiness score. So we're going to have a problem with the story engine because the story engine is all about the interplay of the game world and the story, right? And here, those two things are about as simple as they can be. Our game world is a series of narrative events. Sorry, our story world is a series of narrative events. And our game world is 3 stats, right? And there's no other direct interaction with those stats other than through the story. So whether or not they actually constitute a game world is it's a generous interpretation. So if we think about things like how does the game world impact the story, that would be, do the stats that we have influence the events that get generated? I mean, I can't see any obvious. I can't. Is there anything in the game notes about the stats influencing the events? Okay, so we got the Heron ending, but I don't know why.
Yeah, there. I mean, I see in the notes why, but I'm reading through the notes.
Yeah.
About the, game mode story engine, all that.
Yeah.
And it doesn't say much of what we are looking for.
I can't see anything. I can't see anything which says we're running out of food, my lord. This has happened, or the people are getting restless because their happiness is low. So I think game world to story is basically absent, right? So
although
yeah.
Would the ending count as?
Well, I get game world to story. Oh, I suppose, yeah. So it has that one place where, but it doesn't actually resolve the story. It just tells you you're the Heron King or the Log King. There's no description of what happened, or so whether or not that counts as a story ending, I don't know. You could argue that it's just a badge that you get as part of the game.
That's.
I mean, a poor would be some support for story elements, but the game world has no real impact on the story. And I think that feels like where we are.
Yeah, there is like you could make the game world affect the story here, but it's not, or we haven't seen.
Yeah, we haven't seen it. They haven't reported it. So essentially, for that to happen, like I said, what would need to occur is the events would have to talk about those stats in some way, or be triggered by them. And if they were, that would be an example of the game world impacting the story. Story to game world, I think we do have examples, but the relationship's unclear, right? So depending on what I choose, it will adjust the stats.
Yeah.
I mean, that's about as simple as it gets. Normally, those stats would just be invisible behind the scenes, and they would be interpreted into changes in the game world. Here, they're just shown to you, and it's it's like about as straightforward as you can imagine. But it is there. So I'm going to pass would be a few sparse or minor examples. Again, I think it's so minor that I'm not even sure I would want to say it's a pass. So I think that what we have there is maybe halfway between a poor and a pass, right? So game world to story is poor because there is no direct influence. We just have narrative events going on within alongside the game world. Story to game world is very slightly better because it's changing some resources behind the scenes and we can see those, and that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. And what about the agency and richness of choice?
So we've got lots of choices, but I think an awful lot of them are meaningless choices. So this one, for example, I'm wearing a tiny hat. Do you like it? So if I say no, presumably it will make them sad. So this is just a calculation, right? I'm just going to say yes and they get happy. And then there's no... I need to work through the night to finish a job. It's going to be noisy. All right, but what is the job doing? Why would I need to have more to go on to make these choices meaningful, right? I need to have a setup between so as I said, the way these games normally work is there's normally a trade-off between things, and I think that is happening here to a certain extent. So lose a bit of food but make people happier, but that has to be articulated within the event, and also there should be these chains of events, and that means there are consequences for your actions, and you become aware of those consequences, which creates a sort of meta game where you can see the story, or you can see your reign going in one direction, and you can kind of pull it back. So you might start off doing some authoritarian things because you really need to because of the resources, and then later on you're like, actually, I need to stop doing that. I kind of want to be a different type of king. But here that doesn't happen. So I think the actual agency is quite low. What do you think?
I mean, yeah, on the first choice that we started the game on, you asked me, should we say yes to the hat or no, to the tea stand? And again, I was like, yeah, I don't see why not. It's not really a choice that I can meaningfully make. So a poor would be few choices and player agency is problematic.
I think player agency is definitely problematic. I think the few choices things, we're being asked lots of questions, but are they even choices, right? I think a lot of these aren't choices. Like things like, do you like my hat? That's not a choice, really. So I think I would put the agency as poor, even though there's quite a few questions in here. There's certainly no real attempts to manage agency or do anything more interesting over the long term. So I think probably at the poor level. Few of these are choices, and the player agency is problematic with those choices. Pacing. What do you think about the pacing? We've got 4 days, but have you noticed anything different across those days?
No, that's other than the stats being different, going up or down. It doesn't really feel like there is any pacing. Or
is there anything in the game notes about having different sets of events for the different days, or? I'm alternating, by the way, here with my yes and no's. I'm trying to see if I can get a different ending. I did! The Eel King ending. I wonder why. Why'd you get the Eel King? I love the graphic. That's great. Okay, so in terms of pacing, this is what I think you would want to see in a game like this. you'd want to see each of those days having its own set of events. They might overlap, so you might have, some events that happen in days 1 and 2 and other events that happen in days 2 and 3. But you would want to have them build up to some kind of final crucial decision on the 4th day, right? And that final crucial decision you might base on which of the stats that you'd favoured the most, right? So, for example, if your food was really low, you might have a starvation event. If your happiness is really low, you might have a rebellion. If your population is really high, you might have a kind of a civil war or something, right? Or something like that. So you would lead up to those things, and you would also put earlier events in that kind of hinted at them, right? So if you're going for the starvation one, you would perhaps have somebody mention a previous famine, or you might have someone reference the fact that the grain stores are running dry, or I guess in this case the fly stores, right? So that's what you'd do, and then you'd feel that it would build up, and maybe at the end of day 2 you'd have a sort of a mini crescendo where there was a kind of maybe an external event happens, something that's kind of a bit unusual and different but major, right? So there's a flood, you get attacked by another tribe or something, right? And there isn't any of that here. It's very flat. I would say a poor would be no serious attempt to control pacing.
Yeah, it's not sending pacing.
It would have been very easy to have 1 or 2 larger events that triggered on day 4 or day 5, perhaps.
Yeah.
So I think, unfortunately, because there's nothing, it's just flat. I say it's not even going up and down, right? It's just there's no attempt at all. So yeah, I think it's a poor. What do you think about the storytelling techniques?
We have the ending, you could say, or so 3
little splash
images.
Screen. Yeah.
Although, as you said, is it a story ending or a badge?
Yeah, there's no story element in there at all. It just says you got the email ending. Yeah, so it's not really a story element.
So yeah, I mean we have text, the text of the every single person.
Yeah.
So that's story.
And the character pictures, So I think the character and dialogue. So I think there's one element, there's one way that they conveyed story, because the pond never changes, right? There's no, again, you might say that perhaps the image as I move from day to day, perhaps I have different images of the pond depending on the different variables or the different state of the variables, and that would be a sort of basic form of environmental storytelling. But that's not there. So I think you've got one. Is it used effectively?
What would you mean by effectively?
Well, does it convey an interesting story? Some of them, I mean, that's quite cute, right? Everyone run, the consequences. So sometimes it's there, but other times it's the problem is it's very disjointed, right?
Yeah.
And it's not linked together very well. So even these characters, you maybe there should be a relationship with these characters. If I keep saying no to Leopold, he should start getting grumpy with me, right? I just kind of, yeah. So I mean, a poor would be an unsuccessful attempt to use at least one game writing technique. Pass would be a partially successful attempt, and it feels somewhere in that region, right?
Yeah.
Because it has narrative elements, but it doesn't really tell a story. It's definitely not more than one. So it's possibly maybe Yeah. Is it? I don't think it's totally unsuccessful. So maybe halfway between a pour and a pass. Because sometimes these little vignettes are interesting, right?
Yeah.
So there, he talks about the Workers' Guild, but it just is a throwaway comment. It never comes up again. There's no relationship with the Workers' Guild being modelled behind the scenes that kind of links with other workers,
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it just needs more stuff. So yeah, I think it's probably halfway between the two. And what was their feedback? What did they say for feedback?
So actually, there's 6 different pieces of feedback.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that's a lot. So the first one, a limited branching narrative structure. The recommended branching narratives I was told was from 6 to 10, where this game only has 3. Initially, during the planning phase of the project, the design was intentionally refocused towards depth over breadth. And the plan was to build something that we could and then build upon it.
So is it basically saying to try and put in more decision points, or?
Well, yeah,
I'm not quite clear
it's
what he
basically
means.
saying I was told that it should have more branching narratives, but then we realized that it would be difficult with the fact that it's a single person, I suppose, and so he decided to go depth over breadth. So 3.
I don't think there's a problem with only having a handful of key decision points, as long as they're meaningful and that they resonate and that they kind of connect to each other sensibly. I think the problem is here he's got, I don't know how many questions I got asked, maybe 20 or 30 questions in a game, but they're all they all have very small consequences. None of them are connected with anything, and they don't all communicate an effective story, and almost none of them are meaningful choices. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure he's really articulated what the feedback was, or in fact what he's done about it there. What's the second piece? Yeah.
The next one is interesting because it's what you have been saying. So, absence of long-term consequences.
Yeah.
The game clearly communicates the immediate impact of each decision, but there are only short-term consequences. For example, you could allow the carpenter character in this game to build a local pub. He comes back in a fixed number of events, and the player is given a long-awaited reward.
Yes. So what
is
that's the feedback, but what does he do?
No, that's what that's what he said.
But we've not seen anything like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm. Yeah.
So that feels to me like it's good feedback, but that he hasn't done it. It doesn't have to be complicated. It can literally be, there's a random set of events in each day. And some of the events just have a prerequisite that a previous event was played and that you made a decision. That's it, right?
Yeah.
So okay, what's the third one?
Unappealing narrative structure. Over longer or multiple play sessions, the pacing becomes too predictable. Increasing the number of recurring characters and the respective number of event cards would be great. But we could introduce rare or chained events.
Yep.
Right now, the event cards are uniform, randomly selected. Also, chained events can lead to unique scenarios, which could result in interesting decisions.
So that's exactly what we've been talking about, right?
Yeah, it feels like they have, written the feedback, which, it's good feedback, but then...
But they haven't done it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that one, in fact, says that explicitly says now it's a flat uniform decision, didn't it, or something along those lines? So
right now the event cards are uniform, randomly selected.
Yeah. What's the fourth point? We've yet to find anything where they've actually successfully implemented any feedback.
Yeah. So 4 is limited agency.
Yeah.
Which is a limitation of the binary yes or no.
Yeah.
Mechanic. Expanding certain events to include conditional outcomes based on current game state.
Yeah.
Like more complex event cards with 3+ courses of actions
Yeah.
without further complexity. But yeah, again, this
You haven't done it.
is. But we agree, yes, that would make it better.
And it's exactly what we said about. I mean, not necessarily. The binary choice is fine, right? I don't have a problem with the binary choice. The problem is that the event cards are not linked to the state of the game at all, right? That's the real problem, and they mention it there. Okay, what about the last two? Is there anything in there they've actually done?
Well, okay, so 5 is hidden mechanics.
Yeah.
Well, hiding the ending weights is interesting. That's it. It would be interesting to add maybe a safety hidden variable.
Yeah.
Which determines the likelihood of a bad event card.
Yeah.
Which,
so,
yes.
Yeah. So exactly, this is like the relationship with the guild, right? It's exactly the sort of
exactly.
thing, right? Yeah. Yeah.
And then the last one is about the art style.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, they just say characters are represented using single static sprites with little to no variation in poses or expression.
So just a bit more variety, a bit more animation, or even just more animated characters. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, or as you said, again, if a character you say no one day and then they come back the next day looking different or something.
Okay. So look, I think an absent is that feedback was not reported or addressed. Here, feedback has been reported, right?
Yeah.
But poor is feedback was not addressed well, although some other positive changes have been made. I don't think they've not reported any positive changes. So I think maybe it's halfway between absent and poor, in that they've it's not been addressed, but it has been reported.
Yeah.
Okay, final thoughts on this one.
It feels like there can be so much potential with this kind of yes or no, and then as you said, a lot of times chaining events, seeing how something progresses and all that. So
I agree. There's a reason why Reigns is very successful as a mobile game. It's very simple, yes/no decisions, but it is a really nice little framework to put into this sort of the story, to bring stories in and build narratives. It's more challenging than people think, right? To have a game which is like a resource management game with a narrative on the top. It looks like an easy option, but actually you have to do some quite sophisticated stuff with the narrative behind the scenes, and you have to be quite imaginative with how the story choices affect the game world. And the idea of having these kind of chains of events, the idea of working up towards more serious events, all that kind of stuff, that all needs to be in here. And without it, it just kind of feels flat. So this feels like the basis for quite a fun event-based game, but they've just not built in the set of narrative events. They're just too vanilla.
Yeah.
Right, let's move on to our next game. So our next game is called Heron Nuclear Inc. Which is a fantastic name. What a great name for a game. Okay. We've got some music starting up. Ominous music. So, got a title screen, basic play and exit buttons, but, very simple, but it's here, which is good to see.
Yeah.
Let's go in play. Scrolly text and a skip intro. I suspect that might be useful later. Long, long ago, there was a small town. As the town grew, the people began to industrialize. Everything became automated. Food and clothes production, transport, hospitals. The town continued to grow. And the need for power became greater and greater. Okay? Eventually, a nuclear power plant was built right in the middle of town. Designed quickly to maximise power output. Always the best choice. Always like my nuclear power stations to be designed as quickly as possible. The result was a highly unstable, dangerous facility capable of destroying everything with proper maintenance. You're Johan, Overseer at the plant. You are responsible for the plant and its workers. Okay? So we're running a nuclear power plant. Good. When you go to work this morning, something feels a little different. I'll let you take the reins. Feel free to explore and take your time. Something tells me you'll have more than one shot at this. Okay. That's ominous. Good luck. All right. Okay, that sets us up nicely, I think. So we are running the, I guess, Heron Nuclear Power Plant. Core temperature is nice and green. It's going up, though.
Slowly.
What's N do? N. Oh, I know. What? Oh, I know floating reactors is an option. I should look. Move with WASD. Hold R to reset time loop.
Ooh.
E to interact with highlights. It's a time loop game. Oh, brilliant. Well, let's just explore, right? And we can come back to this later. So who's this over here? Talk to the receptionist. Hello. I love the voice. I'm Jen, the receptionist. Welcome to your job. You are overseer at this nuclear power plant and are responsible for everyone who works here. So we've sort of got a second intro here. Remember your notebook. Press N outside of an interaction. This is where you store all of the knowledge you have. Okay. Today, Carl is absent from work. You need to take over his job in the coolant control room, left of the control room. If you need to access to the control room, I'd look in your office. That's where you usually leave key codes. The janitor is in the office corridors. He was asking to see you. Head office placed a computer on the other side of this room, bottom right. Have a look if you get a chance. Oh, my life, I've got so much to do. The plot map is just above me if you get lost. Remember, you can move around and zoom in on maps posters with your mouse. Good luck. Yeah, I think I'm going to need it. Right, site map. I can zoom. Oh, my life. Oh, you really can.
Oh, wow.
You are here. Door to control room. Control room. Okay. Control room. Code required. Okay.
Where's your office?
I don't know. Hey. Oh, it's gone small again. Offices. Overseer office. It's off to the left, maybe, down the bottom?
Yeah.
Okay.
Corridor.
Down this long corridor. It's all going really well. Oh, that's the janitor. We're not talking. Good to see you. I know you're busy today with Carl's job and how dangerous your reactor is, so I thought I'd help you out. Here's the code to the janitor's closet. That way you can go on your own. There's all sorts in there. Buckets, fuses, mops, and a sink. It's also pretty stormy. I'd learn about the backup generator if you get a chance. It's in the bottom left, and there's a setup procedure. Oh, no. I'm starting to get really stressed. Could you try to empty it, please? If it overflows, we could have a bit of a problem on our hands. Currently, it gets flushed into the ground, but it's better than a nuclear disaster. Right, okay. I don't know what I'm doing. Oh, is that my computer? Can't do that. Who's this person? Ooh. E. Hi, Percy. An envoy. We have concerns this plant is unsafe. I can melt down at any time. It's all in good hands, Percy. You have nothing to worry about. I found out there's a flood procedure you can perform. It will safely destroy the reactor. There's a poster in the coolant control room, and I think Carl works there. Please consider doing this. All right. Where's my office? Is this my office? E. Search for contains control room code is 384. See, do I know that if I press N? Oh.
Where is? Oh yeah, it's at the bottom.
That's
of general info.
With the code I can access. Okay, so it's filling in the information as I get it. All right. Well, the reactor looks like it's about to pop, so I should probably get to that control room and try and do something.
Yeah.
Sounds like I can empty the reactor.
Yeah.
Oh, it let us in this time. Blackout process. What? Blackout process? Should have blackout. No, that's the wrong thing. I want to. Oh, control computer. System. Okay. System status. Oh, that looks bad.
Yeah.
Shall I reset? System restart? Not required. Too high. Backup. Okay, how do I flood the reactor or something? Oh, is that a thing down the bottom? Oh, no. The reactor got too hot. Led to a catastrophic nuclear chain reaction, and reaction melted down. Everyone in the town is dead. Ensure the temperature. Remember, Kyle's job, flicking the lever, will reduce the core temperature. What lever? Where?
That the lever on the left, right there, I think.
Oh, that one. I was just about to get to it. Oh, God.
Yeah.
Only information you learn will remain in your notebook on your next attempt. Okay, that's nice. All right, so let's R to restart. Hold R to restart. Okay, so I should be able to get in here now.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that was the door. So that's the lever there. E, temperature control. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So that resets that. That's good. So we've learned how to do that now. And we've got the blackout process. We haven't had a blackout yet, so it's not about that. What am I supposed to... What am I doing? Reactor interface. Flood reactor core. Reactor stabilization. Status unstable. Coolant tank is empty. Waste tank is full. Okay, so if I flood the reactor core... Flood tank empty.
You don't have...
Don't have what? The generator?
Liquid or...
Empty. Coolant tank. Yeah, waste tank is empty. Okay.
So I think the next thing is to find out how to... can you look at the map on the left there? In the room? Or, whatever it is.
Flood procedure.
Procedure.
So ensure the backup generator is running. Ensure the flood tank is full. Go to the reactor core terminal and initiate the flood procedure. Okay, so I need to get the backup generator running and fill the flood tank.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was, I think, back in here. Was it down here somewhere? Wasn't there a... I should have investigated more. This looks like a... This doesn't look good, does it?
Yeah.
This looks
What
like...
happens if you press E when you're over a pipe? You rotate it. So it's like a puzzle.
Oh, okay. It didn't tell me to press E, so I didn't.
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to be doing this, basically. That doesn't look right.
Yeah. Somewhere else. That might be better.
So I can kind of do...
Oh yeah.
That maybe?
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, that emptied something.
But unfortunately,
You
the core
don't
temperature's
have-
about to explode. Quick! I'm not going to make it in time.
No.
Exploded. Alright, hold R to restart. Okay, so we can get in there. So let's do our little job in here. Now we know what we're doing. I'm not going to remember that route. I'm guessing there's probably more than one solution. That's it.
Yeah, it was up and then...
Yeah, I had to take it up and
round.
round. There we go.
But I assume that's the coolant.
That might be the coolant.
Something.
So I wonder if it remembers that pattern next time. Let's go and whack that lever a few times. Cool temperature down. And then I can look at the status, right? That was over here, I think.
Yeah.
So I can say system status.
A waste
tank almost full.
So that was the waste.
Okay. What am I doing now? Let's go down this. Anything in here? Door to pipes. Code required. Oh.
Where was the code? Can you press N? That's
E.
the...
Important. Everyone is aware of how unstable reactor is. I think we should stabilize emptying the waste tank and making sure the coolant tank is full. And then, okay. So I've got to empty the waste and fill the coolant.
Yeah.
Okay. And what's the blackout warning?
Okay, yeah.
So I press N. Yeah, I still don't have a... So, but I haven't explored down the bottom here yet. So
Oh, yeah.
Backup generator. Oop, wrong one. Oh. The fuse. Oh, we said we got the fuse from the janitor's closet, didn't it?
I think so.
So where's the janitor's closet? Oh, top right. Okay. Ah, there we are. If you get the fuse. So
Then we hopefully don't get electrocuted.
I'm hoping I can. Ah.
Also, what's that image on the wall? Is that interactable?
Yeah.
Ah.
If Jerry's red, do not touch it. If it's green, if it's yellow, it has a fuse and it has a fuse and is ready to be powered on. Ah, so now I can go and turn the backup generator on.
Yeah.
Which I might be able to do up here. Let me just go and pump the lever a few times. Okay, so I can go. Is it this one? Let me turn it on. System status. It's online. Oh, it's on by the looks of it.
Yeah.
Can't really do much with that. That's the. So what was this one? This was the reactor interface. Flood reactor core. System status. But this is empty. Coolant tank is empty. I keep going. I can go back, I think. No.
Oh yeah, you can go back.
So the flood tank is empty. So I can't flood the reactor because the flood tank is empty. The backup generator is online. So do you think is that because it hasn't... Have I died since I did the puzzle? I can't remember.
Yeah, you did.
So,
although that's the waste.
You think that's the waste?
I think, and I'm curious if you can use the waste as make. Yeah, as
quite sure what that does. Right, let's go and we better go and pump the button again.
Yeah.
We can have a look at the where we are. I love the fact that Carl's job. Oh, coolant level. Water tank management. One red and one blue. Get tank room password. These tanks to be filled in the water tank management room. Left of main hub. Requires access code. Okay, I'm not sure if I got it or not. Where do you think I'm going now? Did I just get the access code for this one? Oh yeah, door to pipes. Water control. This doesn't do. Water source, coolant tank, flood tank, avoid cracked pipes, water supplies limited. What am I supposed to do?
Yeah, I see.
So
you get to decide if you go to the red or
coolant tank or flood tank.
So are we flooding the reactor and breaking it, or are we trying to cool it down and keep it alive for longer?
Well, let's try and...
Was the red the coolant one?
I don't know. You wasted the only water by running it through a cracked pipe. Did I?
Oh, yeah.
Where did I run it through a cracked pipe?
The one on the top right.
Ah, I need to get rid of it
It
first.
went,
Oh,
yeah.
I see. Yeah. Right. So I should have the code, so I can come in here. So the main thing I have to do is I need to do that first, right?
Change, yeah. And then you can go backwards.
Let's do that one, I guess.
Yeah.
That one. Here we go. I did a thing. I still don't quite understand the whole coolant pipe, water pipe thing that's going on. Was this the one I had to do the flood reactor core? Oh, I need to turn the generator on.
Yeah.
But the flood tank is full. Right, okay. We're getting somewhere. So, I think in my head, the whole flood and waste thing get confused. I'm still not entirely sure what I should be doing with them. It's the janitor's office. I forget to get the fuse. I can do the generator, and then I can flood the reactor and whatever. Let's have a look. So backup generator is now running.
Okay.
So we flood the reactor. But I don't see it. The problem is I don't really know what that does. Full coolant tank. Shall I flood it?
Are you sure you want to destroy the reactor by flooding the core?
Irreversible. Yeah, oh, I see. So at least it tells me what my... So I'm going to say yes. Let's go for this. Right, let's see if we get an ending. You successfully destroyed the reactor core by flooding it. While the threat of nuclear disaster been avoided, hundreds of workers are out of a job and townspeople... Nice. All right. So that's one option, is to flood the core.
Oh, the townspeople rallied together to ask for a new and improved power plant.
Maybe this is inevitable. A punishment of the town's greed for power. Nice. Right. Okay. We ought to start going through the mark scheme. So presentation.
Yep.
So I think it's pretty good, right? I've got sound effects. I've got audio. Graphics are basically consistent. I've got this sort of pixely style. I've got kind of little bits of information. I think the information design is quite clever in that I've only got the core temperature. It's the only thing I'm worried about. But the information is actually scattered in world, which is really nicely done. Right? Yeah. So I think that's very good. Right, so I think I need to go and do the other pipe if I want to get the other
the
ending.
blue one. Yeah.
Yeah, so I would say let's get rid of that.
And you have music as well.
Yeah, I've got music as well. I mean, I would say it's definitely professional, complete and effective.
Yeah, is it appealing?
I'm not sure if I'd quite go that far. It feels yeah, there's nothing sort of particular that they've done. It is just sort of... Oh, I need to do the generator, don't I? Let's try that. So if I need to go and get the fuse. Yeah, so I think I would go for professional, so that's good, I think. It's at that kind of level.
And what about
mechanics? So they're pretty simple, right? I've got kind of this little sort of puzzle element in terms of finding stuff and going stuff and finding stuff, collecting it and taking it somewhere. I've got the kind of the puzzles with the water pipes. I think that was important that they had that in here. I think it makes a big difference. So I don't think there's a massive amount of mechanics, but I've got some interesting puzzle elements. I've got a few mechanical things like that lever, and I've got the tank, the water pipe puzzles. So I would say it's definitely playable. The controls feel good. I've not spotted any bugs. What would make it? Is it engaging? Reactor stabilization. Do I need to unstable? Current full system power okay. How do I stabilize the reactor? Coolant tank is full. Waste tank is full. Do I need to empty the waste tank?
Oh, maybe.
So that's the other pipe puzzle, isn't it?
Yeah.
So maybe I'll go down there and do that. I would say that. I mean, it's definitely engaging, right? I'm definitely engaged. Is it fun? Yeah, I've kind of enjoyed my experience. I think partly that's because of it's the interaction of the puzzles and figuring out how this thing all kind of works.
Yeah.
I would say maybe it doesn't quite get to the higher complexity one, but it's certainly halfway there. I think it's kind of it's been enjoyable. I will remember playing this.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'll let you do the.
So if I do
waste.
that one, I go
And now it should.
So yeah, so we talk about story engine.
Yeah. Game world to story and story to game world.
So the first one is game world to story. So you definitely. So one of the problems I think here a little bit is that the story is mainly told at the beginning and end. There's no kind of event. I suppose the blackout might count as an event. We haven't seen that yet, have we? Oh, I can stabilize the reactor. Here we go. Blackout alert. Oh, blackout alert. What do I have to do in the blackout alert? I can't remember.
I think check your notes, maybe.
Backup generator is offline. Is it? I thought I turned the generator on.
Maybe. No, it should be on, but.
Yeah, I've got all the information now. You failed to fix the power cut in time. Being offline for hold R to restart. Ensure you're prepared for a power cut at all times. So okay, so this almost as if it almost as if it knew we were talking about it, right? So
yeah.
So there was a danger with this game that it was going to be a premise and a resolution and nothing in between. Because there's no real narrative elements in here, right? Other than it's all puzzle elements. But this is a narrative event, right? This blackout occurs. And then I have to resolve it within the game. So I think game world to story, we've got kind of the game world affects the ending, and there's the blackout, which affects the kind of the story you get about whether or not you manage to sort that out or not. So I would say that there's would be a number of examples where the game world impacts the story in important ways. Has it quite got there, do you think? Or is it more like some examples of the game world?
Well, let me tell you also what they say, just so you see if they were right. So how does the game world impact the narrative? They say that the first bit, the rise in core temperature, leads to a loop ending.
Yeah.
Next one is filling the coolant tank or flood tank causes a specific narrative path to be unlocked. Which I think that's what we just experienced.
Yeah.
Emptying the waste tank unlocks an ending, and solving the power cut by rebooting the control system is necessary for an ending.
So what was that about rebooting the system?
The control system. So that's another thing I don't think we've looked into.
No.
But so that's the examples or what they said.
So so it's more than just the two then. I think that probably means that they achieved the good level. Right?
Yeah.
They're kind of oops. There we go. I've done that one. I've got to go and pump the lever. Story to game world. So this is story events that change the game world.
Yes.
That's interesting. Story events that change the game world. What?
So what they said here is interesting. So the first thing they said is learning new pieces of information unlocks functionality within the world. Which...
Yeah. Yes. You were being charitable. Restart. Oh, you have to... When a blackout... Oh, this is how we get the sort of blackout out. We ensure the blackout generator is functional, ensure the core temperature by 50%, and restart the control system from the control room.
30 seconds.
So we've got a system restart. That's the key thing.
I see.
All right, so we know that's going on now. So let's go and do the other bit of this, which was the other pipe.
So the next thing they say is similar to the first bit. New areas become accessible after certain narrative events happen.
Yeah.
When the world resets, if the player has previously unlocked an area, it will remain unlocked. Information is retained. And then new narrative information is displayed in the player's notebook.
Yeah.
So I can see what they are saying.
Yeah, they're saying the narrative is here.
Yeah, the narrative is the text. I mean, yeah, it's the text and conversations.
I think it would have helped if there had been a story alongside the puzzle, right? If I was discovering something about the secrets of this reactor. Can I do this? I can stabilize the reactor. Oh, alert. Blackout alert. Right, so I've got to get the thing under 50%, and then I can use the control room.
Very quickly, you have 30 seconds.
That's ages. Be fine. Right, and then system restart. Oh, yes. So now I should be able to stabilize the reactor. Yeah! The plant can still operate safely. However, the hasty construction of the plant meant the nuclear waste tank was emptied straight into the water supply.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, where were we? Story to game world. Yeah, okay. I think... Yeah. So there's a type of interactive narrative that we don't talk about much in the course, which is called database storytelling. So that's things like Telling Lies and Her Story, and it basically Her Story is essentially you're looking through video clips and you can search with free text, but every search only gives you the top 6 results, right? So basically what happens is you watch video clips, you learn information. So maybe one video clip, you learn that someone called Chris was involved. So now you search for Chris, and it gets you new video clips, right? So what's interesting there is that there's some logic to it, right? In that some clips are unlocked by other clips, but the information isn't managed by the system. It's stored and managed by you, which is what makes it a puzzle game. So you're basically watching these interviews with somebody and trying to figure out how a murder happened. So you could argue that the sort of story state, right, in this game is the same, right? You're learning like, oh, the fuse is in the janitor's office, and I know what the passkey is and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So you could argue that the story is infecting the game world, but the game world is in your head, right, not in the game. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's a very. Yeah.
So I think there are. If you accept that that's kind of what's going on, and they've got this time loop thing going on as well, so you kind of learn more and more and more, I think you would say that kind of gets it up to at least the satisfactory level. Does it impact the game world in important ways? See, the problem is you're making story decisions, right? In a sense, you're kind of learning about the reactor, learning Do you want to stabilize it, or do you want to flood it? But those don't lead to game world changes. They lead to story changes.
Hmm.
It, yeah, I think for me for that reason, and the fact that we're struggling to think of distinct examples, it probably sits at the satisfactory level. And we'll kind of be generous and say, yes, by releasing information to us, you are impacting the game world, right?
Yeah.
But I think the real issue is that they've got a puzzle that's narrativized, right? How do I deal with this reactor? But they have a story that's going on, which is about why this reactor was built and then what happens, and they kind of neglect that a little bit, right? So I should be learning things through this game that help me make the decision about whether to flood the reactor or not, right? Perhaps it's about the history of why the reactor was built, or what has happened to Kyle for his day off, right? All this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And that's a little bit lacking. So yeah, I think maybe a satisfactory for story to game world.
Okay. Yeah.
What are the
The
narrative
next.
choices?
Yeah.
I think, although you do them diegetically, the kind of things like, am I going to flood the reactor? Am I going to stabilize the reactor? That's your core decision, right? Everything else
Yes.
is really enabling you to do that. So there's one big decision that you do, and I said you make it diegetically in the game through those terminals, but it's effectively a narrative decision. It's about which ending do you want to have, right? I can't think of any others. All the
Well,
other decisions
I
are
would.
about the puzzles.
Yeah.
I think it is an interesting choice because it's not obvious what's right and what's wrong. It's not telegraphed very well. So what I mean by that is you don't really understand what the consequences might be. And again, I think that's perhaps due to a little bit of lack of narrative support during the gameplay itself. But it is an interesting decision. It's definitely a which way you're going to go. And I like the fact they've said there's no right decision. Right, that works well.
Yeah. That's.
Um, So, okay. A pass would be we've
Yeah.
got some choices, but only a few interesting ones. Satisfactory would be a number of interesting choices. I and the things that make it good or above would be systems for managing player agency. And again, they don't really need those because it's like a broomstick. You just make the decision at the end. It goes one way or the other.
Yeah.
A poor is player agency is problematic. I don't think it is. I think you genuinely have agency, and they built the game about making you have that agency. So you have to do different things to make the different choices, which is nice.
Yeah.
But it is only one big choice at the end, I think. Is there anywhere
From
else where
what
you're making a choice? I don't think so. What do they say in the notes?
Yeah, I'm looking at the graphs. So you have backup generated.
I'm wondering if there's anywhere we haven't kind of explored.
Yeah, I think that feel. Yeah, I think those are the two.
Yeah, it's just the same.
Now you can make the choice. Yeah, I guess the choice is between do I flood it or do I cool it, and then you make. No, yeah,
that's it, isn't it?
yeah, and I guess
The puzzle is how do you make those choices? So you try,
yes, yeah,
so you have to puzzle different things to unlock the choices, which is really nice. There's a nice integration there between the mechanics and the. So you could argue that there's a little bit of do the mechanics support the theme? It's not really a story about solving the puzzle or anything. Yeah, I think unfortunately for the richness of choices, it probably has to be done at the pass level. There's just not enough choices to be made, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pacing.
Yeah.
So
there's definitely, with the core temperature, and then
yeah,
it feels like
it paces between plays, right? So the first play is very different than the second, is different than the third. I kind of feel like I've explored it all now, so kind of got to the point. But you definitely start off. The first time you're kind of exploring, you're desperately trying to find out how to cool the reactor down. So that's like a big thing where you get to this point and go, oh yeah, I can finally stop that damn timer.
Yeah.
Then there's the kind of bit where you're solving out the puzzles and figuring out how to do the water, and then there's the bit where you're figuring out how that relates to the endings and activating that. So I think it works quite well.
There's maybe a few peaks, as in small peaks, and then
I think so. Yeah. The final peak could do with being a little bit more exciting. I think it feels like we have a number of peaks rather than a clear final peak. So I think we've got an excellent would be ascending pacing with more than one peak, and ascending pacing with a clear final peak. But I think excellent assumes the clear final peak. So I think we've got ascending pacing with more than one peak, and that's kind of at the good level, I think. Because there's no clear final peak, or that it's sort of lacking a bit there.
Yeah.
Oh God, I've just realised I'm going to blow up again. Too much talking and not enough pumping the lever. Storytelling techniques. We've got a couple, right? We've got scrolly text. Yeah. What else?
The Star Wars intro.
Yeah, the dialogue with the janitor and the receptionist.
The dialogue,
Kyle.
I guess.
Oh no, not Kyle. Sorry, Percy. Yeah, Percy.
Yeah. You have the story. What was it? The world scattered around the world stuff.
Yeah,
items,
it's a bit of a shame. It's a bit of a shame that those are mainly about the puzzle and not about. Like I said, we're a bit lacking in story in the middle of the game. But I think you could say that they've definitely got at least two. They've got the dialogue, they've got the scrolly text, either here or at the beginning. And they work quite well. I think the problem is that the dialogue doesn't do enough to push forward the story elements, really. But it's used fine. So I think we've got successful use of more than one game writing technique is probably... Yeah, I think it's probably about there, I think. There's an argument that it should be a bit less because the dialogue, it's not really used to tell the story. But it kind of is. I mean, if I go and talk to Kyle, he sort of says a few things, right? Or not Kyle, sorry, Percy. He says a few things, but yeah, just a bit weak in the middle. But yeah, probably still at the good level. So that takes us to their feedback.
Yeah, let's see. So they have 4 pieces of feedback. So the first one is, with our initial design, we had an AI which would slowly consume worker roles. The feedback was that this would result in poor pacing as the player had less to do.
Yeah.
Our response was to redesign the narrative. Okay, yeah, I guess they've redesigned it quite a lot from that.
Yeah. But I don't quite understand what they... Was that to add in the time loop element, or...?
Not sure. So from what I understand is that they had the game idea where there would be an AI and you have to do a lot of stuff, but it slowly would be doing the stuff for you, and that's why it would be poor pacing.
Right.
Because every time you would have less to do.
So right. So they took that out. So it's okay. So they avoided a mistake, basically. Oh, that's fair enough. Yeah. I think that's right.
Yeah.
The kind of, the fact that I have to come in here and pump this blooming lever.
Yeah.
It does make sense.
Next bit, we got asked about skill-based tasks within our game that require the player to play and learn instead of just searching for information. To support this, we implemented a pair of puzzles, one with different solutions that affect the narrative.
That's really good. I think they've done a really nice job there. And I think I would count this as being an imaginative response to that criticism. Particularly the other one, actually, the one where your choice changes the narrative. Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah. So we had feedback concerning the linear aspect of the story. Certain events had to be completed in a specific order with arbitrary reasons. To solve this, we made the narrative much more open. The order of completion of certain tasks was made less important, and the endings are determined by a set of non-exclusive conditions. So again, sounds like they did that.
Yeah.
And the last one is interesting. We were told that the player would struggle to retain the information gained from the world and use it at all effectively to achieve an ending.
Hence this.
So this we added, the notebook.
Yeah.
Which dynamically updates.
Funnily enough, I think the notebook is too much. It's too much information. I stopped using it because it's too big, right? And actually, I just said, actually, it's easier just to remember what's going on. But yeah, okay. But again, so I think they've done a really good job of responding to those items of feedback. Some of them are more successful than others. I think the notebook is fine, and it also helps you. Yeah. It also helps you realize there's nothing more to understand or unlock. It helps you know that you're kind of there. I think though the thing that I would like to reward them for is the pipe puzzles. I think they're really good. They work well. They're interesting. They're not trivial. They're integrated with the story really nicely.
Yeah. And so multiple solutions.
Yeah. So an excellent would be feedback has been interpreted and addressed, and the change has been successful. And a prizeworthy would be interpreted and imaginatively addressed with successful changes. And I think that they at least partially have done that with the pipe. So I would put them halfway between an excellent and prizeworthy for feedback. Really, really nice response.
Yeah.
Final thoughts on this one?
I really like the meta games where you have information. As you said, the game already is in your head to an extent.
Yeah.
Like Outer Wilds and all that.
Yeah.
So I can see how they maybe have, had that as a bit of an inspiration, maybe.
Yeah.
The idea of the game and all that.
Yeah, I think it's. I like the fact they've done a time loop game. They're not easy to pull off, and they've done a good job. And I think some of the bits they've done in here are really nice. We just talked about the pipes, the puzzle, the environmental bits of the puzzle. They work really well. I think if I had a criticism, it would be it's a little bit too much narrative at the beginning, narrative at the end, and not enough narrative in the middle.
That's true.
And I think if there was an interesting story here about who built this nuclear plant and why, and that story could then inform my decision of which way to go, that would have made it substantially better, I think, for me, as a narrative game. But as a kind of a core time loop game with a kind of narrative elements to it, I think they've done a really nice job. Okay, let's move on to our next game. So for the next game, I'm joined by Tom. Tom, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Tom. I am another one of the lecturers on the course.
And we're going to be having a look at a couple more games, the next one of which is called Antlers of Survival. That's a very evocative menu screen.
That's nice. It's, stylized. I like it.
Yeah. Very simple, but it's always nice to have a splash screen to get us into a game. So I guess let's hit play. Health 100. I need to find some water to drink. I am thirsty. And some little wobbly trees, which is good.
Yeah. Cute little animation.
Okay.
How do you find water to drink, do you think?
I have no idea. I'm assuming WASD is involved. Let's give it a go. Yeah. What's that? Is that like the edge of the map? Yeah.
I guess, yeah, that's the... Alright. So we're looking for some sort of pond or stream or something like that.
Yeah.
So as far as managing agency goes, they put you in a very big space, and
Yeah.
they've given you a goal, but they haven't given you a direction.
No. At least there's an edge. I was worried there was just going to be green. I would be
Just green forever, yeah.
green forever. Yeah, got to find some water. Oh, there's some.
Oh,
That
looks like water.
Press E to interact. Oh, that's a little reflection. I quite like the little reflection.
That's very cute, yeah.
Drink water carefully or admire antlers. Admire antlers or drink water.
What do you think the benefit of admiring your antlers is?
Yes. I don't know, so I guess I'll just click.
Let's try it and find out.
Okay,
Yeah,
go on then.
click somewhat randomly. And...
My beautiful antlers, big and strong.
So we got that's. I'm enjoying the sound effects.
That's quite the sound effect. Oh, I didn't realise that lion was creeping up behind me. I need to outrun him. Okay. Oh, he's attacking me. Sorry, I thought something was going to happen.
Yeah, I think you need to outrun him. Oh, there we go. I don't know
Yeah.
where you need to go though.
No, I could just run around in circles.
Your health has gone down to 50.
Yeah, that's because I stood there like a muppet because I didn't realise I had to literally run away from him. I for some reason I thought it was going to trigger a mini game or something, but it didn't. Oh, seems like I escaped. I'm really tired. I need to rest. Should we rest or continue? Well, that's a question. What do you think? I guess we continue. Running away from a lion.
It seems. Yeah.
I need to find a herd. Okay.
We're disagreeing with this deer at every turn, aren't we? He says, "Oh, I'm thirsty and I need to drink," and we're saying, "No, no drinking. Only admiring antlers." "Oh, I need to rest." "No, no resting."
Okay. I think if I find the river again or whatever it was, do you think I can drink then?
So I'm just skimming through the game notes that they handed in along with their game. So I've got the there we go. I've got the story plan that they've got. So
can I join your herd? You have to fight me first. Oh, it's always this with stags. Do you want to fight him or leave? Let's leave.
Leave is a game over.
Most boring ending. Now you're all alone again. Okay, not the best exit, I have to say. I always think, one of the challenges with these interactive narrative games is you have to make sure that every branch is as satisfying and as full of content as every other branch, right? So basically saying,
so if you're
wrong
admitting
call,
that it's
game
the boring
over.
ending,
Yeah, you shouldn't have a boring ending.
It's okay to have game overs. In fact, they do have several, although they do list them as ending 1, ending 2, and ending 3, which is, I think all of them are almost all of them are being eaten by a lion, but they are all death. And they are game overs, they are not endings.
Yes. All right.
Oh, in fact, I tell you what, while I'm looking at this story structure, if we go and this time drink water.
Yeah, let's do it.
Because there's a branch that I really want to see how they present. There we go.
To drink the water.
So let's drink some water. Delicious.
I'm kind of hungry.
I need to find
some food. Okay. Wow, this is just a pond. Yeah. I'm not entirely. Oh, is that food?
That looks like some food.
Finally, some food. These are delicious berries. And now I need to find a herd.
Okay, interesting. So that was a branch, because there is a branch there of, do you find food or do you find poison?
Okay.
And I'm really curious what the poison looks like and if it looks meaningfully different to those berries.
There's going to be a lot of meandering around a forest, I think, because there's no indication of where to go.
Were they in the bottom? I feel like they were close to the bottom right.
Do you think there'd be... Well, they were sort of... Yeah.
So they do have in their story structure, they do kind of have this split join of basically all of the quote unquote proper endings rely on finding this herd.
Right.
I don't know if any of you. Yeah, there we go. Sort of bottom right.
Can I join your herd? You have to fight me. Oh, let's
try fighting.
Let's not leave. Let's fight. So presumably, just show them what I'm capable of.
How do you fight the stag?
How do I fight the stag? E? Space? Huh. E.
Oh, E to attack. So just mash E before E can mash E, I guess.
Is that what I do?
Yeah.
I don't really...
I think so. His health's going down. Yours is going down slightly slower.
Yeah. That's come on, you. He's very big.
Almost got it. He is.
If I'd seen him, I probably wouldn't have fought him. Leader of the herd. Long live the king. Ending 5. Okay. All right. I will try and explore some alternative routes. And while I do that, shall we start making our way through the scheme?
Yeah, let's. So, as always, we start off with the quality and we start off with presentation. So, how's it look? How's it sound? How well do they convey information?
Well,
graphics-wise?
Yeah, graphics-wise, it's simple but clean and effective. It's absolutely fine. There's no music, which is a shame. I've got some sound effects, including the lion that goes rah, which is great.
Which I quite like. I think the audio is alright. It'd be nice if there was maybe some more ambient music, or like ambient background sounds, as well as the sound effects. Information design feels like there's maybe a bit lacking here and there. Like it's difficult to know.
Yeah,
what the controls are to start with. It's difficult to know where we should be going.
Yeah, the direction thing is a real problem. Because you don't feel like you're exploring in any meaningful way. It just feels like you're meandering around.
And there's a couple of ways they could have solved this, right? If they'd have had, like a couple of paths, then would at least have a direction to follow. Or if they had different scenery, so it wasn't just walking the same trees, like some landmarks to maybe help us guide our way.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, you were slightly drowned out there by the roaring of a lion, but I got the gist of what you said. So if I let myself be eaten by a lion, presumably that's another ending, right?
Well, again, for a given definition of ending, yes.
Ending 1. They think it's an ending. Costed your life. Okay. So I think there's at least another one where I find some poison or something. So let's look for that.
Yeah. So if you there is also a second lion chase that can show up later if you rest and then rest and then rest again.
Right, so I'm gonna drink water this time, I think.
So while you're exploring the story space, what have we got?
So I agree with you, the information design, and I also think that whether you include it or not, the fact that the choices are really quite blind is a problem.
We'll talk about that later. There you go. There's some mushrooms. They look delicious.
They look absolutely fine and won't do me any harm whatsoever. They look poisonous, but also delicious. Oh, it's a little bit of information design, but I don't know. There we go. Let's eat them anyway. Oh, it died.
I mean,
okay. They've got a point.
We'll come back to this.
Yes,
but the fact that they say you can choose to eat them, and then they say, "But I told you they looked poisonous. Why would you do that?"
Yes.
That's an excellent question about the interestingness of choices.
Right.
So, graphics-wise, I would say it's pretty workable, pretty effective. Maybe even a bit better than that.
Yeah, I think graphics is probably slightly better than the workable, which is satisfactory, effectively. The audio is probably slightly below because of the lack of music, but it's sort of okay. Information design is probably there or thereabouts as well. I think satisfactory is about right for presentation.
I think you're probably right. I think. Yeah. So what about meaningful play? What have we got in terms of mechanics?
Well, I can explore.
Yep. You can run away from a lion.
I can run away as an evade.
Got some rudimentary combat as well.
I can mash a button, yes. Excuse me while I mash. But that's about it, right? I mean, there's not an
But
awful lot.
It is quite simple, right?
Yeah.
There's not a lot of mechanics.
Yeah.
How do the controls feel? Like, do you feel like you're in brutal combat right now? Or?
No. The moving around is fine. The chase and evade doesn't work enormously well because I am just faster than the lion, and there's not a lot of obstacles, so there's not a huge amount of challenge. And then this is just mashing, although I'm not sure if I got into a bit of a pause here. I'm going to die. I'm not quite sure why I'm dying. I'm still mashing.
So another thing with the information design, right? It's difficult to tell. Are you doing damage? Is damage being done to you? Like a little bit of feedback on that would have been nice. Ending 6. At least you tried.
At least we tried. Yeah. So I think. To me, go on. Yeah.
So I was going to say you're in the driving seat, but to me it looks like it's sort of around the challenging level. So it's a simple game with few mechanics, and the controls are maybe a bit awkward. That's
exactly where I put it. Walking around is fine, but you don't really feel engaged. And yeah. So I think challenging, which is at the pass level, that's about right.
And I think that's going to continue on as we start talking about the story engine. So first off, how is the gameplay impacting the story that gets told?
Sorry, I released the line again. Yeah. So gameplay and story.
So there's the sort of obvious one, which is you can lose the game and therefore the story stops.
So here's an interesting question. What is the story?
That's a good question. Is there a story, or is there just stuff happening?
I think they've narrativized the game. So I've got a little running commentary saying, "Oh, you've done this. Now you need to do that." So it's a bit like having a running premise that kind of sets up. So instead of saying, or you're invading the Earth against space invaders, off you go. It kind of says, you're a stag. You need to find some water. Now you need to run away from a lion. Now you need to find a herd, right? But it's not really telling me a story. I'm not engaged. It's not revealing kind of. I mean, maybe the lion counts as a dramatic event, but there's no relationships. There's no the narrative. It's not absent, but it's incredibly thin. It is just a narration of literally what's going on screen.
Yeah,
and I think that means that if we're talking about this relationship between game world and story, it's very hard to kind of distinguish those things and to point out what that relationship is.
I think I would have to agree. I would, to me, looking at it, I think game world to story, for me, it feels sort of like it's at the absent level because the gameplay is not having an impact on the story. The story is just narrating the gameplay. Story to game world.
So here's that example.
Might be a little better.
So do you want to fight the leader stag or leave? And I have a choice. It's not much of a narrative choice because I don't know anything about this stag or why I would fight them or what's going on, right? But it is a choice, and I'm doing it outside of the game engine, so it's kind of framed as a narrative choice. And if I fight them, it makes an impact on the game world because I then go into that mini game where I fight the stag.
Yeah, story to game, I think there is a clearer impact because you have these choices and effectively determines what mini game you've got next.
I would still say that it's at best a pass, right, for story to game world. A few sparse or minor examples where the story impacts the game world.
And even then,
even then,
it might be between a poor and a pass.
I think it probably is, right, because it's such a thin story, and the impact is so granular. I think game world to story. I think you're probably right. I can't think. So I suppose if I was being devil's advocate, I would say there is one choice I make in game world, which is around whether I eat the poison toadstool, or the berries. Right.
Yes and no. Even then, it pops up as a narrative choice.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
If I'm devil's advocating,
but I'm selecting a path.
Affects the chooses an ending, right? But the problem is it's not under the control of the.
No.
Or it's not under the choice of the player. If I am just bad at games and I get eaten, then it's not like I've decided to take that ending.
So I mean, a poor would be there's some sport with the story elements, but the game world has no real impact on the story. And a pass would be a few sparse or minor examples. And you'd have to say that the mini games that you succeed or fail at do change the story you get, right? So I got killed by the lion, I beat the stag or not. So again, it feels to me that maybe it's actually between a poor and a pass again. It's the same level. It's just affecting the outcomes, which are narrativized, right?
Maybe, but again, like you say, it's so thin, and particularly the impact of the game on the rest of the story, because it's not, it's seemingly not having an impact on the story so much as the story is just narrating the game, as you say. So to me, it feels more like it's a poor. You're right, maybe it's not quite an absent, but I think it's
okay. That
I don't
seems
think
fair
it
enough.
quite reaches
because of that argument that it's just narrativizing what the play. Yeah, all right. Agency. Right, let me so if I leave her, just end the game, right? Okay, most boring.
So, I would say agency is problematic in a number of different ways. There are not the choices are not hugely rich. The individual choices, you don't have enough information to know why to, so the initial choice you get, drink water or admire your antlers.
Yeah.
There's no reason
no.
But there's no reasoning the player can do to sort of decide one or the other, and there's no real suggestion of what the consequences are going to be, both in terms of story or game.
No, there's no reason to choose either path. Basically, I said it is essentially a random decision.
And then later, some of the decisions effectively punish you for choosing them. So the mushrooms and deciding not to fight the stag are both.
Yeah.
Even the game itself highlights that it's a silly choice.
Yeah. So it's almost like that. I'm looking to see. I was looking to see if I could find the stag family, even though I had to eat the food. But I don't know if they might. I think they might appear. They might be unlocked by that kind of route.
Which, to be fair, that is a good thing, right?
Yes,
and it's showing some control over the agency of the story. But otherwise, I agree
completely.
Not that many choices.
It's the very definition of problematic, right? So I get to these things; they are essentially random. There's no moral decision or grey decision or kind of apples or oranges type decision. It is there's no flagging of what the consequences are. There's no stakes. I think it's definitely problematic. In terms of the number of choices, we do have a couple. There's a few choices, but I mean, really, it's only about 3, isn't it? It's kind of
it's not it's not a large amount.
So I think a poor would be few choices. Player agency is problematic. It feels like it's there, right?
I think it is, unfortunately.
What
about the pacing?
Yeah, pacing. So the pacing is odd. We've.
So I was going to say the exact same thing.
Yeah, we start off with yeah. Well, I was going to say on a certain playthrough, the pacing works out sort of okay, because you have a runaway. You have to evade the lion, and then you have to fight the stag, right? And although the lion does feel like slightly higher stakes than the stag, that's 2 kind of interesting peaks of activity. They're mechanical rather than narrative, really, but they're there. The problem is that the different choices you make can completely mess that up. So you can effectively have a really early peak with the lion and then just go and eat a toadstool and die.
Which is a bit anticlimactic.
Which is it not only is flat, it's the opposite. It's going in the opposite direction. So I would say that there's been very little attempt to control the pacing. What we're looking for is rising pacing over time, preferably with some peaks along the way, with a clear final peak. There's some playthroughs you can end up with that, but other playthroughs it just muddles them all around, and you can have a peak at the beginning and then a kind of anticlimactic sort of fading out.
Which leads me to sort of say that the pacing is perhaps unclear, which is around the pass level.
I would say no. I would say that if you look at the poor one, is that there's no serious attempt to control pacing.
Yeah, you're right. It is. Yeah,
and that's what's going on here, right? I think that so an absent would be descending pacing, right? It's actually anticlimactic.
There actually is some of that in some circumstances, yeah.
But there is also some ascending pacing, depending. So I think they kind of cancel each other out, and I would put the pacing at the poor level as a consequence in the middle. Yeah.
Okay. And last for the design techniques, what techniques have they used to tell their story? So there's the.
So we've got the.
So we've got the little text prompts sort of as we go. Yeah. If we're being incredibly generous, we can stretch the ending screen that pops up and say, that's a separate technique. Yeah. But that's a bit of a stretch. I don't think they've used it thoroughly enough to.
No, I don't think so. I think this is the main technique, right? We've got a pop up. The game pauses. It works okay. It's kind of it's quite simple. I think that's technically. I think in terms of actually delivering narrative and setting out your choices and all that kind of stuff, I would say it's not that successful. So a pass would be a partially successful attempt to use at least one game writing technique.
It feels again that's sort of where we seem to be.
Yeah, I mean, a poor would be an unsuccessful attempt.
I don't think it's quite down that far. Like it is partially successful. They are the problem is, as we've sort of already said, there isn't much story to convey. What story there is, they are conveying successfully.
Yes, that seems fair.
Okay, and last but by no means least is the feedback. So we asked them to get some feedback in the lab sessions, and then asked them to reflect on that. So they say in the feedback. They needed to focus on showing the moral of the parable. In this case, what is most important is often overlooked. So they tried to incorporate this message into their game, getting the player to make some decisions which did not have a significant effect on whether they would survive.
Right.
These decisions, such as whether to rest, lead the player to lose sight of their ultimate goal and perhaps overlooking what they need to do in order to survive.
But what do they?
So I see where they're coming from with it.
But what did they actually do?
So they added some decisions that are unimportant. Which I think actually has undermined what they were trying to do.
Yes. Yeah. I think
it's very nice that they tried to incorporate the themes of the fable they were basing their game on into the actual mechanics and the choices.
Yeah, which is the right thing to do. Yeah.
But I think the way that they've done it has kind of undercut that point, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think you're right. Did they have any other points they made?
No, that's the only one they mention in their notes.
I mean, a pass would be feedback was addressed, but the changes have had limited success. And a poor is feedback was not addressed well, although some other positive changes have been made.
The problem is they have made changes, but the changes have kind of made the game worse.
Well, that's not addressed well, right? That's almost the definition of that. I mean, I think an absent would be feedback was not reported or addressed. There is no serious attempt to make changes. So that's the thing. I don't think they're above there. I think if we were being generous, we would say it's at the poor level.
Feedback was not addressed
well, right?
They have made an attempt to improve it, and it just hasn't worked out as well as they'd hoped, unfortunately.
Yeah. Final thoughts on this one?
So overall, like the actual scene setting, the graphics and everything, the audio, it all pulls well together. I think if they, took a little bit of time to come back to this and then sort of maybe polish up some of the choices in particular, I think this would be quite a good little game. Yeah,
I think they have the foundation, don't they? They have a story. They have a game engine that they could build on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think the problem they really have is that they've fallen into the trap of narrativizing a game, just literally explaining what's going on in the game as it goes and thinking that's a story. A story engine really is about narrative events happening, right, and relationships and interesting moral decisions that very often go beyond what the game engine can support. And unfortunately, they have none of that here. And I think they needed to start exploring that. They needed to have some backstory to this stag, some reason why he's in the forest, some kind of proper conflict going on, and that would have made the narrative elements a lot more interesting and the choices a lot more interesting. But okay, let's move on to our next game. Okay, so time for our next game. Now, they didn't actually hand in any game notes, so we don't even know what this is called. So let's see. Oh.
Ooh.
We've got a
I quite like the visuals here.
Begin story, exit story. Okay, so a little... Oh, so yeah, I can't click, but I can select with the arrow keys. This is the work of a single person, by the way, so we're going to be bearing that in mind a little bit as we go through. Let's begin story. Oh, little transition. Bully. What's the matter, weakling? Scared of a fight? Enter. What, cat got your tongue? Come on, dude. It was yet another day at the lake you call home. Like any other day, conflict was afoot. This scenario was typical. You at the mercy of some bully, fighting for some reason you could never quite understand. At times you felt like perhaps you could comprehend how someone could inflict pain on others. Maybe they were simply lashing out because they had a tough life too. I appreciate the speed of the text, by the way. Perhaps you shouldn't be making excuses for the people who have torn your life apart. All you know is that you want this torment to end for once and for all. Come on, dweeb, not going to fight back.
This is certainly dramatic.
Yeah, I'm kind of at this point. The way I'm feeling about this game is this game could blossom into something extraordinary, or we could just carry on with this interaction, and you and I are going to be having a lot of conversations about what's an interactive narrative versus what's a game.
Yep.
But let's see where we go. Not going to fight back. At times you felt like you need help. Sometimes it feels desperate. But mostly you lie where you sleep and think about how much more just the world should be. Okay? Okay. So that was linear, right? You think often about injustice. You didn't choose
I haven't seen
to
any
have
choices
scars, but maybe, yes, just maybe, if there were to be a benevolent ruler, maybe you could be protected. Surely everyone would agree. I mean, how many times were you picked on at school and thought to yourself, we need a better prime minister, right?
Me.
It's what,
I need to be in charge.
Me. If I was king of the world, then they'd pay. Yeah. Okay. A ruler to take them through the treachery. Tomorrow you'll convince the lake what they need is a ruler. You'll do whatever it takes to bring one here.
All right, so I'm getting a sense of which of the fables they've chosen to base their game on.
It's a golden morning. Day you bring a new hope. Okay. Truder to guide you all. So we've been playing for a minute or two now, and all I've done so far is hit enter, which is a bit worrying. Okay. Well,
it's a nice story, but I'm beginning to worry if it's a game.
Yeah. A monarchy. And thus you begin your long trek through the treacherous swamps surrounding your lake. See, it could just be a very long intro section, right?
We might struggle to play through it again then, if that's unless you can absolutely spam your way through some of this.
No, you can't. No.
Oh dear.
You have to wait for it to. If I hit enter, nothing happens. Hours later, you come to a junction you are not familiar with. Oh, see, I thought it was going to drop me into a game, but I'm still in the same text bit. 2 paths.
This sounds like a choice, though.
One will lead you to Jupiter and the other elsewhere. You spend a few brief moments considering the paths ahead before your thoughts are unkindly interrupted by a visitor. Greetings, traveller. This junction, I have not seen it before. I presume it's your first time seeing it too. Yep. Regardless, it seems we have given each other the directions we seek. Indeed, the visitor had come from the path on your left. To continue onwards to Jupiter, the choice is obvious, but perhaps there are other places you would rather visit. The choice is yours. A choice! You have a choice. Using the same menu as the start of the game, but that's fine. Take the left path, discover the right path.
I'm paralyzed with indecision now, because if we make the wrong choice, we're going to have to. It's going to take us a while to get back here.
So a couple of things, right? So first of all, this is very close to the definition of a blind choice, right? So I think we even might say it in the lectures. The typical example of a bad choice would be you come to a room. There's a left door and a right door. Which one do you go through? Right. In fact, it's so infamous that the Stanley Parable, took the mickey out of it in its very first scene. And the reason is it's completely blind. You don't know what's behind each door. You've got no reason for making the choice. It's essentially random. The same is sort of true here, except we've got a visitor who's come from one path, and the other path
leads to our destination. Right. We're trying to see Jupiter.
Yeah.
So.
But do we know which path goes to Jupiter? I've forgotten.
I think it told us, but I have forgotten.
I think from the phrasing, it maybe the left path goes to Jupiter because it says discover the right path.
Yeah, but then the question becomes, well, if we have a goal in mind and we know how to get to that goal, why wouldn't we pick that path?
Yes, but it also feels like the story is going to happen down the other one. It does. Yeah, it's like the call to adventure. Where you just go, no thanks. So
should we take the left path and see where that leads us?
I suspect we're going to end up. Yeah, go on, let's do it. So we think this is going to take us to Jupiter, which is where we want to go. Do we know why we want to go to Jupiter?
We want to ask him for a new king.
Jupiter's kingdom. Okay. Oh, it's Jupiter the god. I thought it was Jupiter the planet.
Right. Oh no, that makes sense. The god, obvious, of course.
I'm sorry. Yeah. You overlook Jupiter's kingdom. Now it's obvious. A great and vast kingdom. Looks quite green to me, but you make your way towards civilization. Across a sea of buildings, you can see the castle planted in the direct centre of the kingdom. Okay, I do like the little fade between scenes. That's quite cute. You're able to come face to face with one of Jupiter's guards. So this looks like they've run out of graphics at this point.
It does, which
is a
again,
shame.
If it's the work of one person, it makes sense.
Yeah, but it makes sense.
They've drawn a lot so far.
Okay, you draw the courage to ask the guard once again. Ask the guard again. Try elsewhere. So again, yeah. Not really.
It is absolutely giving me the vibe of those choose your own adventure books, where as a kid I would have to put my thumb in like every page.
Yes.
To not because I get the sense that we're going to turn a page and it's just going to say you are eaten by an orc.
Yeah. Because part of the point of those books is you play them again and again, right? So the idea is that choice isn't really a choice on your first playthrough. It's a choice on subsequent playthroughs where it's basically saying, do you remember what happened? Do you remember what you need to do?
The game is the exploration of the text, not the game itself.
Yeah. Insolent buffoon, must you interrupt my work? I have no such power to take you to any ruler, no matter who you are. The powers I have, I can merely take you to the dungeon of Her Majesty. How about it? Oh dear. You have been sealed in a cell of a dungeon. It appears your goal of procuring a ruler has taken a wrong turn. Until you hear a deep voice. Oh, okay. I thought for a minute this might be a dead end. It's the sound of laughter. Jupiter, good show, man. Good show. You must forgive those guards, ever so impatient. A simple frog, our way of life may be somewhat unconventional to you. All right, fighting spirit. The door of your cell opens. Come hither. We'll resolve your problem in but a jiffy. Okay. Throne room. Okay. So we get an audience with Jupiter. Okay. Come, small frog, we shall settle this. Jupiter sits atop his large throne. The scene is set to make you feel far smaller than you already are. State your case. You explain your situation at the lake to Jupiter.
So I keep wanting to say, and while we're going through this story, let's start talking about the mark scheme. It's going to be a bit tricky once we get to the story engine part, because we don't know. It's really difficult to tell what the different paths and branches are going to be, and they do seem a bit few and far between. So it's going to be a difficult thing for us to go back and try again.
So it's worth saying, of course, this is why we need the story notes, right? Because the story notes show us all of the potential branches, and we don't have to explore them all through the game. Okay, I'm just looking where we've gone. So you sent us back. Want someone to help us through the... Once Hope Lake, you find it just as you left it. A giant log falls from the sky. This is your new leader. Brilliant.
So if we're going by the fable, we're about a third of the way through.
Your situation can finally be resolved. Right, the day has come. Despite your journey and your hardships, your gift is unexpected. Perhaps you ought to pay another visit to bother the gods. But still, return to Jupiter's kingdom or remain with the log. You see, again, I feel that returning to Jupiter's kingdom is the way to push forward the story. But I'm also interested to find out what happens if I go remain with the log. But I'm terrified it will just say, log's a terrible ruler of the end.
I'd say exactly the same. What do you think we should do?
Let's do the full fat thing, and we'll try some of these other ones on the next run through. You decide you will once more hop to Jupiter's kingdom to ask for a true ruler. In the time since you last took this path, the other route closed itself off. Okay. So go back to see Jupiter. Once more, kingdom rises before you. This time you may not have the luck you had before. Perhaps not the simplest of tasks. Okay.
So I tell you what, while you're going through the rest of the story, I'm going to prevaricate for a little bit about
the door opened.
Ooh.
We had. I mean, it was only two pictures with a very slight difference between them, but still, it's like a slightly new thing.
Nice little...
Yeah. Sorry, you were about to say we're going to go through the.
I'm not even the mark scheme, but I'm going to leap ahead a little bit and start talking about what is a game versus what is an interactive narrative.
Go for it.
At least for this course, because so right now this is a really good story, and it's got some choices in it, but I'm not convinced it is a game, at least so far as this coursework goes.
No.
Which is not to say interactive narratives or visual novels or any of those things are bad. I really like them. But they're not what we're asking for this coursework, unfortunately. We need something with one of those core dynamics that we saw in the first coursework, something like destruction or resource management. And it is entirely possible to incorporate those into a game of this style. The obvious one would be something like resource management, right? Where you've got some stats like, I don't know, you've got to have enough food for the journey or something, and then that can make your choices more interesting, because you can start saying, I want to go straight to Jupiter, but I don't have enough food for that journey. So what if I go down this this other path and sort of do some foraging or things like that, and that can all tie back into your story engine. As it is, we're reading a really nice story, but we're not playing a game.
I think that's a good summary of where we are. I mean, we need, you need to have something which is happening externally to the story to have that kind of interaction between the game world and the story. That's what a story engine does. And if you don't have a sufficient game, that interaction just can't happen.
Which is a shame, because obviously a lot of work has gone into writing this story. And it's a good story.
And the transitions and everything work really well. But like you said, it needs a game element. It needs like a resource management element to it, or perhaps a fighting sections where what you're doing is moving through a series of battles, or even a mini game that kind of links. That links some of these elements. I mean, I wouldn't recommend a mini game because that's quite painful to do, but that would be one way to solve the problem. A better way would be to have an actual, more traditional game, like you said, with a kind of proper core dynamic that you were playing, and then put the narrative on top of that. That's the way to do it. Right. Let's try again. So we've had the log, we've had the eel. Now we're off to see Jupiter again.
All right. So while you're journeying to Jupiter, I'm going to start talking about the marks criteria, because I think we can start talking about quality at least relatively easily. I'm worried that when we talk to story engine, we might struggle a bit. But as far as presentation goes, so the graphics are really, really nice. It's all really coherent. It's all put together very well.
Yeah.
Like I get the sense that they are probably hand drawn as well to fit in with the vibe, which isn't necessary, but it's a nice touch.
It's
the
really
transitions between things are a nice bit of polish. Is there any audio?
There's no audio.
Yeah. So that's a real shame.
Yeah, again, so straightforward just to put an audio track on. And it really makes a difference. I mean, obviously it's better if you can make it respond a bit to different scenes, and here it would have been nice if we'd have an audio track for Down by the Lake and another audio track for the city where we're talking to Jupiter, that kind of thing. But even just one behind the scenes would have really helped set the mood. There's no sound effects, but that's because there's not anything for the effects to be tied to, right?
Well, or even just like a little as the text is appearing. Maybe that would get a bit grating after a while with how much text there is. Though.
It would. So I think the graphics are actually the graphics I would say are pretty much at the professional level. I mean they're absolutely fine, right? Yeah,
I might even say they're beyond that because like they don't have to be complex, but they all work together really well.
Really
but
effective.
It's the complete lack of audio that really is a problem. So
and also
it feels like that almost.
Yeah, and also the information design, right? Because
the information design's a tricky one. We'll come up with that again when we talk about the mechanics. But there's not that much information to be designed.
But you could have a thing saying who's your current ruler. You could have a thing about saying, maybe you should have a certain number of days to sort this out, and you know what day you're on.
But see, this is the thing, right? That
where
would tie
you are
into
in
mechanics.
the world. There's various things they could do to telegraph to you what was going on. Okay, the phrase "playing with fire" seems to keep ringing through your mind, but you weren't burnt. You won.
We won.
You were never given the opportunity to finish that thought. In fact, that thought was your last. Oh dear. Visitors to your lake don't often wonder where the frogs that once inhabited the area went. Oh, that's lovely. The answer was quite apparent. Any fool looking over the lake could see it was now ruled by a heron. The rest of the story was self-explanatory. Ending 1 of 5. Okay. So there's a little bit of information design, right? Okay, I'm going to start going through this, and I'm going to try making some alternative choices, but it'll take us a while to get there. Because I cannot skip these. I agree.
So as far as presentation goes.
So we think graphics are kind of verging on the impactful. Audio is absent. Information design, it's not present. I mean, the game doesn't demand a lot, but still, there's not really demonstrating anything.
I think we'll talk about that more in mechanics because it's not that there's a lack of information design, it's that there's a lack of information needed to be presented. As far as this goes, I feel like...
I mean, my gut feeling is that it's somewhere between workable and flawed.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Of all of these things.
Like the visuals are really nice, but there's absolutely no audio, and that feels like that's where that averages out to.
Yeah.
What about play?
So this is about mechanics, the controls, any bugs and things. No bugs as far as we can see, but also almost no controls. I mean, up and down arrow and enter, and almost no mechanics. Right?
Looking at the criteria, and absent is no real gameplay, and I'm worried that that's where we are for this.
Yeah.
So a poor, for example, would be insufficient mechanics, and beyond the dialogue choices, there are no mechanics.
No, I think
if we call the dialogue choice a mechanic, then it's between an absent and a poor. I think.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. I think it's certainly down at that level, unfortunately.
And I think we're going to say very similar things for the story engine, because there's no game to impact the story and vice versa.
Yeah, there really isn't.
So this feels like it might be an absent for both.
If you look at it, it says an absent is no serious attempt at integrating the game with the story, and there is no game to integrate. It's just
so there is a story premise, but there's no.
Yeah.
Okay. agency, we've got slightly more to talk about. There are definitely choices to be made. They are slightly few and far between, and some of them are more interesting than others.
Yeah, a lot of them feel, and we didn't take them because we thought of this. A lot of them feel like, do you want to carry on with the story or not? Right?
I think when we get to them, it'll be interesting to explore that and find out, is it going to lead us down a whole new branch of story, or is it going to be an immediate game over?
So this one that's coming up is actually, in the end, turned out to be one of the more interesting choices, which is we have this other path, which has this mysterious visitor on it. Do we continue onwards to Jupiter? And then I think that's why I find it confusing, because it describes it as onwards, and then we got to take the left path onwards. But let's discover the right path. Okay, let's go a different way. See what happens. As you follow your selected path deeper into gnarled woods, you feel maybe going in an unhelpful direction. Tree cover grows thicker, and the forest seems to be shrouded in an eternal night. The trail ends at a cave, its gaping entrance calling you towards it. To get back en route to Jupiter's kingdom. That is, however, until a pair of glowing eyes emerge from the darkness of the cave. A frog, I've met with one of your kind for some time. I mean you no harm, but I sense there are forces that do inflict harm upon you. You explain to the cave dweller why you travel, and why you need a ruler to save you. Okay. I empathise with your plight. Okay. See, the story is good. I'm intrigued by this strange person in a cave.
Yeah.
You'll continue your journey.
Speaking of little flourishes of information design, the fact that their name is question marks.
Yes, yeah.
That's a nice touch.
That's a nice touch, actually. I enjoy your company, Frog. You may return at your leisure. Maybe you hadn't noticed it before, but beneath you lies a path deeper into the woods. The path takes you between two trees, and through there, Jupiter's kingdom.
Ah, interesting. So effectively, we can pick the correct path which takes us straight to the story, or we can pick the quote-unquote wrong path, where we get an extra bit of story, and then we pick up where we left off.
And a warning, right? Crucially, a warning to say, don't trust the gods. Right? Which may then later influence our decision. Asking for an audience with Jupiter. So what happens if we... So here we got one of those ones that felt like it was going to end the story. But let's this one's not quite bad. Let's try elsewhere and see what happens. Unsure what to do, you simply wander aimlessly through the kingdom. Eventually, you snap out of it, notice yourself looking right at the castle doors. You decide it would be best to turn back and head home. Oh, okay. Oh, a little bit of little bit of agency management, right? You find yourself strong enough to heave the door open. None other than Jupiter. So do we have having had this warning about Jupiter, what can we do to not
so here's the thing. Both of those choices, the second one more than the first one, are actually meaningless choices.
Yeah.
Whichever you pick, you end up in the same place.
Yeah, although the first one gives you more information, right? So it's...
the fact that you get an extra little scene with a mysterious stranger is good.
I would say
but equally,
yeah, that first one is an example of
it's completely blind.
Well, the choices are blind, but in terms of the structure, it's an example of the kind of where you split into two paths and then come back together again. So it feels that feels like agency management, whereas one of the paths does actually tell you new information that you didn't know. Yes. The problem is you don't appear to be able to act on that information.
And equally, so if you're back to the spirit of 80s adventure game books, once you've played it through once and you know that is the outcome of that choice, there's no reason never to always pick the go get the extra information route. All it is bonus.
So if, for example, So the second one, by the way, I think is a false choice, and I don't really have a problem with that.
Yes.
It's kind of
No,
agency management.
it's all right.
But
the problem is if all of your choices are false choices.
Yes, that is a problem because then it's really just a linear story. I think what I was expecting to happen is I was expecting to get to see Jupiter and for there to be a new choice because I had taken that other route and I'd got the warning from the cave. Whereas what's happening here is that it feels like the story's kind of on rails. So let's remain with the log and see what happens, right? Let's say, yep, happy with the log. Yeah. Immediately change your mind. Because this scene has not yet been written.
On the one hand, it's a bit railroady.
Yeah.
On the other, I like that they hang a lampshade off of it and go, well, you need to go and see Jupiter. That's how we're dealing with the narrative paradox. You're just going to go and do it anyway. So here's a difference.
Let's return to the.
You weren't able to return to the cave previously because if you just went down the Jupiter route,
so let's go to
the right path was blocked off. So because this time you've gone down, you've been to the cave. Now you can go back.
I think perhaps one of the problems they've got here is they've put the decision in the wrong place, right? They've put the decision in. Do you ever get to have this fabulous encounter with the creature in the cave, which is the highlight of the story, right? So it's like you can make a blind choice and then not get the highlight of the story. That's not a great place to put it. Whereas what should happen is that you should be railroaded into having this really fabulous encounter. And then what you do with that information becomes your choice, right?
Yeah. If they set it up so that the first time you're on that fork, you have to, for whatever reason, go and see the mysterious figure. And then the second time, now the player's got a choice that they have information about. Yeah. They can say, okay, do I trust this mysterious figure?
Or not.
And again, they could heighten the interestingness of that choice by adding mechanics on the top. So if you've got a ticking clock where it's like the longer you take to get to Jupiter, the crosser he is, and that changes your choices. So you can decide, oh no, I'm going to go straight there so he's not angry at me, or I'm going to waste some time and risk him being crosser at me to get information from this mysterious figure. But then, those kinds of things would
absolutely. But then you must be able to enact that information in the encounter. So this encounter with Jupiter is on rails, right? I've got no choices in here at all.
So that's an excellent point. What are we going to say about agency? So a pass would be there are some choices, but only a few are interesting. Poor would be there are a few choices and player agency is problematic.
I think that's a much better description of where we are, isn't it?
So an absent would be a story with no real choices of consequence, and we're
knocking
worryingly close to that. Yeah.
I think there is a. It depends if you think the I was going to say it depends if you think a consequence is whether or not you see that have the cave encounter, right? But that's pretty much the only one.
Well, in theory, there are 5 different endings. I don't know how we get to them though.
No.
Perhaps if we think it's somewhere between the two, perhaps we put it between the two.
Yeah. What between absent and a poor? You mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. There's just not enough meaningful choices. So that takes us on to the techniques and pacing.
Yeah.
So there's no mechanical peak, right? Because I'm just clicking. Is there a narrative peak? I mean, you could argue that there's these little, they're more like bumps, right? Which is when you actually get the kings. But not a lot have made of that. That if they'd made that a big revelation, right? And if they'd really kind of given the different kings interesting personalities and
we don't spend a lot of time with whatever king we've got. That kind of gets glossed over a little bit, and like partly we're not actually marking the quality of their writing.
No.
so much as the way they've incorporated it into play.
So here, for example, we've decided we failed, not because the king is a problem or is interesting in any way, but simply because we're still being bullied and they haven't solved our problem, right? I'm going to give up. You decide to end your quest. Your work may have been for naught, but the journey was worth it. As the weeks go by, you continue to be ridiculed. The eel offers no condolences. Eventually you come to wonder, how would it have gone if you had gone back to the kingdom? Perhaps in this moment you would be relaxing, assured justice was being served. Okay, so this is how we get one of the alternative endings. Ending 3 of 5. There you go. So it looks to me like and the other endings are early exits.
Yeah. Which, as we've sort of already said, like a game over isn't really a branching ending.
No.
It's you made the wrong choice. Now go back and make the correct choice.
So in terms of pacing, I would say, I don't know, it doesn't do very. I would say it's flat.
I would say it's mostly flat. I would say maybe there's some ascendant pacing. Like there's
a little, like there's a little bit with the kings, right, and the feeling of progress.
There is there's also like a rising intrigue with this mysterious figure in the cave that you can very easily miss. Yeah. But the idea that you get a little bit of information, it's like, oh, okay, what's going to happen next time I see them in the next? So, like maybe between a pass and a satisfactory, because you can easily miss that.
Yeah.
But it is something that does raise the tension and the drama.
Fair. So storytelling techniques. The story is all told through this scrolly text, this narration, and the choices. I think it works well, and it's evocative. If we put aside the impactfulness of the choices, the way that this is used to tell a story is quite good, I think. Not really any other. So, for example, this image of our home here with the lake, this doesn't change. There's no acknowledgement that we've got a different ruler, or it's quite simplistic, but it works.
Like even just having a sprite of the eel in the background or something like that would give us a little bit more. Like the idea that time is passing, like a little bit of environmental storytelling. But as you, like again, we're not marking the quality of what they have written so much as how they're delivering it. Yeah. And the scrolly text is fine. It is perfectly satisfactory to communicate the story that they're telling.
So I think that is the satisfactory level, right? Satisfactory use of at least one game writing technique, I think. And of course, at this point, we should really talk about feedback, but we don't have any because they didn't hand any game notes. So it would have been nice if they'd perhaps, even just sending us a video for some comments or something would have been good.
Because I think we would have raised a lot of the things we've mentioned.
Yeah. Whereas unfortunately, we're going to have to give them a 0 for that part of the coursework. Final thoughts on this one?
I mean, final thoughts. I really like the aesthetic. I really like the story that they've told. It's actually a really, really nice story. Yeah. It would be nice if there was like some more mechanical elements to it. Yeah. That said, it's not quite hit the criteria that we asked for this particular coursework. Yeah. But as a standalone thing by itself, I think it's really nice. I think it's worth putting up on itch.io or something like that and showing off because as a standalone thing, it is quite nice. It's really effective. Yeah,
I'm exactly with you. The aesthetic is great, and as you said, we're not marking it, but actually the quality of the writing is quite good as well. It's quite well written. It's got some humorous moments. It just the main problem for us is the lack of a game really. And from an interactive narrative point of view, the lack of kind of making interesting, meaningful choices, and like I said, if they'd pushed the choices forward, so instead of being a choice of whether or not you even went down that route, it was now you've got this information, you have some choices to make about how you use this information. That would have improved this dramatically, I think, from a narrative point of view. Yeah. So kind of promising, but perhaps and maybe it's because it was the work of a single person. They sort of ran out of time to develop those elements. But yeah, could have had a lot of potential. Okay, I think that's our last video, our last game rather for this video. So thanks very much for watching, and yeah, we'll see you in the next one.